Look, I know it's something that nobody likes to talk about. It's something that none of us like to do, and it's by far none of our favorite way to fish. But if you're going to catch more fish this summer, you need to be able to finesse fish. And in this quick video, I'm going to talk about my top 3 favorite finesse fishing techniques for summertime. So, my name's Jordan, and I'm going to help you figure it out. Let's get started. What's up, y'all? Jordan here with a quick tip for you about my top 3 favorite finesse tactics for summertime. And trust me, I understand that this is nobody's favorite topic. Nobody enjoys going out and finesse fishing. It's not fun, it's not fast, you're not covering water, it's slow, methodical, and for a lot of us, even painful. But if you're going to be an effective summertime angler, you have to be able to finesse fish and slow down when necessary, or you're not going to have consistent luck throughout the summertime. Trust me, I understand that power fishing techniques work great in the summertime, but it's not always the juice. But before I get into this video, there's just 2 things I want to go over with y'all. Number 1, and trust me, this is the only advertisement you're going to hear from me throughout the entire video, but first and foremost, this video is brought to you by Jan Dill's Attorney at Law. If you're a veteran like myself who has tried to fight the VA for the benefits that you deserve, don't do it by yourself any longer. As somebody who has personally used Jan Dill's even before they sponsored me or any of the social media stuff that I do, they have great success. They're compassionate, professional attorneys who can help you. So if you're struggling with the VA, call the attorneys that won't take no for an answer today. The second thing I wanted to talk to y'all about is what I'm going to be discussing in this video. So it's going to be a quick video. I'm not going to go into great depth about techniques and stuff like that. I'm just going to go over the 3 favorite baits that I have and how I like to use them, and maybe a few adjustments that I make to them to make them effective for me whenever I'm fishing. So the first bait we're going to talk about is the well-known and probably the most popular finesse bait, and that's the Senko. The Senko is a great finesse bait not only because it has a slow, methodical falling action, but it really works. And for anybody who says that Senkos don't catch big fish, they are absolutely wrong. Senkos can be one of the most effective finesse baits, whether you're flipping them, pitching them, or whether you're trying to drag them across bottom. There's just so many different techniques that you can use with a Senko, and there are several adjustments that you can make to make it effective. The second bait I'm going to be talking about is the Finesse Jig, because jigs are known for catching big fish. So if it's time to slow down, why wouldn't a finesse jig be able to catch big fish? This is probably one of my personal favorite techniques to use in the summertime as a finesse bait, because not only can you catch a number of fish with a finesse jig, but it can really produce a big fish as well. And finally, the third bait I want to talk about is rather new to the bass fishing world, but it has definitely taken charge and shown that it can catch a number of fish over the past several years, and that's the TRD, or the turd. Whenever it comes to really slowing down and trying to pick apart rock piles or areas where you know that there could be heavy crawfish or small bait fish, the TRD is an absolute killer, and it has definitely proven itself over the years. So for the first bait, the Senko, I'm going to talk about the rod, the reel, the line, and a little bit about the bait itself and how I like to rig it up, but I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about these baits because I'm trying to make this a quick video for y'all. But I'll start off with the rod and reel setup. And I know you're already thinking to yourself, why is Jordan using a bait caster for a small 4-inch Senko? And I don't know about y'all, but I can whiz one of these things a mile with a medium light, fast action tip rod and reel setup, and I'm a lot more accurate. So for me personally, if I'm throwing a 4-inch or a 5-inch Senko or anything bigger than that, I like to use a bait caster setup. And trust me when I say, I have no issue whizzing that thing a mile. Now, I might have went a little too hard there. I got a little bit of backlash, but nothing I couldn't work out really quick. I mean, it's not hard if you have the right setup, and trust me when I say you'll be so much more accurate with a Senko if you're using a bait caster rod, especially if you're trying to pitch it under docks, or if you're trying to skip it under docks, or pitch it around laydowns, cover, stuff like that. It's just, you can be a lot more accurate with it. The only thing that I would caution anybody on if you're going to switch over to a bait caster for your Senko is it does make it easy to overfish or fish too quickly with it. So be mindful of that and don't fish too quickly with it. But as far as the rod goes, something medium light, fast action tip. The reel, I like a high-speed reel because whenever you get that bite, I really want to be able to jerk that fish away from whatever it's in before it can wrap me up. And whenever it comes to the line, whether I'm fishing this on an open face or a bait caster, I like an 8-pound fluorocarbon. I don't like to go any heavier than that with the Senko, and I know that you can lose fish. I know that you can break off easier with 8-pound test, and a lot of people are saying, why wouldn't you just go with 10-pound test? And I thoroughly believe, especially in clear water, in highly pressured areas, you're gonna lose fish if you just go with a higher pound test. So I like to stick to an 8-pound test. Very rarely do I ever go below 8-pound test, like a 6-pound or anything like that with a Senko. I like to stick to a nice 8-pound fluorocarbon. As far as rigging it up goes, I just use a nice weedless hook. I like those eagle claw hooks. They're cheap, they're affordable, and like I said, they're weedless. Whenever it comes to how I like to rig it up, if I'm practicing or fun fishing, I like to use an O-ring so that I don't lose as many plastics. But if I'm in a tournament, I don't like to use an O-ring because I want that plastic to be able to get out of the way and that hook to be able to do its job. And as far as the Senko itself, most of the time I fish it weightless, just like this right here. But, you know, if I'm trying to cover water a little bit quicker, if there's current, something like that, I like to take a nail weight and just a dab of super glue and add maybe a 32nd of an ounce of weight to it just to help it fall in the current. So now for the second bait, the Finesse Jig. And for me personally, the Blue Rock Triple Threat Finesse Jig is my personal favorite and go-to whenever it comes to using a finesse jig. And not only for finesse jigs, whenever it comes to any type of jig, Blue Rock Custom Tackle is my preferred. Whether it's their $10.99 jig for flipping or whether it's their Sabotage swim jig, Blue Rock makes a really solid jig all the way around. You guys really need to check them out. Now, as far as setting up the finesse jig, I like using an open face rod, like you can see here, anything 6'8" to 7 foot long, medium light to medium, fast action tip. Whenever it comes to the line, I like to use like a braid to fluorocarbon leader with like a 30 or 40 pound braid and an 8 to 10 pound fluorocarbon leader. Whenever it comes to how I like to rig them up, the only thing that I like to use for a trailer on these things is those Blue Rock chunks. Look how amazing that looks with this jig. It gives a really good subtle presentation, and trust me when I say, especially if you're fishing for smallmouth, this bait can be absolutely fire in the summertime. And finally, the TRD or the turd. No matter what you call this bait, it's an absolute fish catching machine in the summertime, especially when you got to slow down and give a really subtle finesse presentation. The fish just can't resist picking one of these things up. Whenever it comes to how I like to use them and what kind of gear I like to use, again, a 6'8" to 7 foot rod, and that's all relative to size. If you're a shorter stature person, you need to use a shorter rod. But if you're taller like myself, a 6'8" to a 7 foot, medium light to a medium heavy rod. Same thing whenever it comes to a braid to fluorocarbon leader with like a 30 or 40 pound braid to 8 to 10 pound fluorocarbon leader. And whenever it comes to the Ned head I like to use the Blue Rock Custom Tackle nasty Neds. Not only because I like Blue Rock stuff, but because it comes with great quality paint on it. It has a really sharp hook. I've never had any issues with them out of the box. They're honestly a great Ned head to pair these up with. Or if you're not looking to use a Ned head, you can simply Texas rig them on a small like 1/0 or 2/0 hook. Okay, y'all, so that's it for this week's Jan Dill's Attorneys at Law fishing quick tip. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.